Remakes. You hate them, right? Well, I'm starting to kind of hate them too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've defended remakes in the past. I defend them now. I think there's a history of remakes going back to the beginning of cinema. Okay? I mean, Dracula, Bela Lugosi was basically a remake of Nosferatu. Nosferatu being the original movie based on Dracula. Now you can say, well, but the Lugosi film was the first Dracula proper. It was the first one where the character was called Dracula, where it was, that where it was Dracula. Fair enough, fair enough. But well, then you got the Hammer films. You got Christopher Lee's Dracula. That was a remake, technically, or a reboot, however you want to look at it. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think Dracula is the character who has appeared in more films than any other character. And I don't hear anybody complaining about that. I don't hear anybody saying, well, yeah, but Dracula's, he's been, if they announced like a new Dracula, well, you can't make a new Dracula movie. No, Dracula's off limits. But when it comes to films from the 80s, even a little bit from the 70s, but mostly this crop of movies that are popping up, this remake of movies from the 80s, it's like it's off limits to people. It's like they're saying, no, 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 these are the holy grails. Okay, these are the movies you can't remake. And the fact of the matter, a lot of people say, well, it's been too soon. It's too soon. You can't remake these movies. No, 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 it's too soon for you because you're getting old. You're getting old, okay? Look, I remember when RoboCop came out. All right, I remember it. I remember being a big RoboCop fan when I was 7. Okay, and now they're remaking RoboCop. I'm not looking back and going, that's too soon. Why are they remaking RoboCop? That was just yesterday. No, it was 25 years ago. Okay, it was a quarter of a century ago. Okay, enough time has passed. They can remake it. They can do that. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Uh, it was okay to remake them. I was glad to see them remade because I felt it if anything validated the originals, because then you were able to say, look, Freddy and Jason are getting remakes. They're in the same pantheon as Dracula and the Wolfman and the Frankenstein's monster. All these classic characters that everybody always thought were untouchable. You could never match these characters. The 80s did it. Our slashers did it. Okay? I think that's fabulous. I think it's fantastic. But admittedly, Hollywood has no self control. So all of a sudden, when remake fever hit, it wasn't just movies from the 80s anymore that were being remade. Total Recall being remade. Now, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the Total Recall remake. I've seen the trailer. I think that looks kind of cool. But yeah, it feels like it's maybe just a little too soon. I mean, we're talking 90s now. But it can still sort of pass. But then you start getting into stuff like Spider-Man and upcoming reboots like Fantastic Four, and or even the turnaround time it took between Thomas Jane's Punisher and Ray Stevenson's Punisher. There is no buffer anymore. It's just sort of, let's just go ahead and remake it. This one didn't work. Let's just remake it. Hurry, reboot it, quick, 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 quick. And that's getting old. It's getting really to where I'm not even. It gets hard to get excited about movies anymore because you feel like you've seen it. You've seen them all because Hollywood I don't think Hollywood's ever been more bankrupt for ideas than they are now. But sometimes you have to just also look at a movie for what it is instead of looking at it for what it's trying to be or what its competition is, maybe with a title that it shares with an older movie. And thus, I come to my review of Fright Night, a movie that has its share of detractors, but the critics kind of embraced it. Fans admitted it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Um, Now, admittedly, I'm going to say this, and some people are going to gasp. I've never seen the original. I remember the original, seen bits of it on TV and stuff, but I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. Um, so I had no real going into this movie. I wasn't looking at it and going, "Well, Fright Night was a classic, and you can't remake it," because I didn't feel that. Um, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I rented it from my local library for a weekend. Just like I'd kind of like to see something, you know, other than the TV shows that we watch. Usually, my girlfriend and I every night from Netflix. So I rented Fright Night, and it was a lot of fun. And I don't know why I didn't give it more of a chance because I like everyone in the cast. Everyone in the cast, I think, is great. um, the lead guy, I'm not even going to attempt his last name, Anton something or other, uh, is a really good actor. I mean, and really, his bread and butter right now is playing characters that other actors from uh, previous generations have played. Whether it's Chekhov in Star Trek or Kyle Reese in Terminator Salvation, and now in Fright Night playing the lead in that. But he's so much fun to watch, and he's really a very good actor. Just a very good actor. I mean, I could see this kid actually going on becoming something big. Um, and by the way, I think he could have been a better Spider-Man. If they had to reboot Spider-Man, I kind of would have think he would have been a better Peter Parker. But he's really good in the lead. He's funny. He's charming. He's uh, a lot of fun to watch. He can pull off the action and the fights and everything. Um, he's I don't know that the kid's ever going to go on to win an Oscar for anything, but as far as being uh, just capable of doing really fun, exciting roles, I think he could be a really big star in years to come. Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell's awesome. I mean, Colin Farrell, I have been a fan of Colin Farrell since the beginning. Okay, since way, way, way back when he first started out. And a lot of people don't like him. I don't know why. Maybe certain roles that he played, I don't know. But I always thought that Colin Farrell had the potential to not only be a really good action hero, but to be uh, a really he's got like this three-tiered thing. He could be an action hero, he can be dramatic, and he could win awards, and he could also be sort of in the Bruce Campbell kind of tradition because if you look at his performance in Daredevil, for instance, which is a fun performance, okay, uh, so much. I mean, he's sort of the highlight of Daredevil. He really is. I mean, he comes in and he just really injects that movie with so much fun. Um, he's great here as Jerry the Vampire. He's menacing, he's charming, he's everything you want from a vampire. Thank God he has nothing in common with Edward. Um, he's really good here and playing a bad guy, and I hope that he plays more bad guys in the future because he was really good here. And then we get to my personal favorite, and actually the reason I rented Fright Night, um, David Tennant. Because here's the thing, I'm in an awkward place right now. I've been watching, and I've said this in Stop the Hate. I've been watching Doctor Who um, on Netflix. I started with Christopher Eccleston, and I watched through that, and that was a lot of fun. And then David Tennant came in, and I resented him at first. It's like, who the hell is this little twerp? What happened to the other guy? Bring him back. He was only in for one season, goddammit. By about episode 3, David Tennant had become Doctor Who for me. My doctor. And, you got, what, 4 seasons with him? And they were just so much fun. Normally, I get really bored. My girlfriend and I, she doesn't really like to mix things up. She gets invested in a TV show on Netflix, and we're just watching it. So usually by about the middle of the series, season 3 and 4, especially if it goes on for a while, I start to really get sick of the show. Buffy, I was hoping, please kill her. Please kill Buffy. Let this end. I started to get really sick of Lost. I got deathly sick of Heroes by the end. Doctor Who, David Tennant, I never got tired of it. Never got tired of him as Doctor Who. I think it's one of the most charming, fun performances I've ever seen an actor give. And there's a depth to the acting, too. There's like a side of Doctor Who with David Tennant that is so damaged and dark and scary that bubbles to the surface every now and then, but it's always there, and he's aware that it's always there. I thought he was just great as Doctor Who, and so I started watching other things he did. I watched his version of Hamlet, and I watched his version of Much Ado About Nothing, and then I realized he was in Fright Night. And that was sort of what sold me. I was like, all right, I'm going to rent Fright Night. I want to see David Tennant play a vampire hunter. And he's fantastic in this. He is fantastic in this. Because it's one of the things, and I said I was in an awkward position right now, and that was with Doctor Who, because I've moved on to Matt Smith, and it's just not working for me. It's just, I'm trying. I'm plugging along. But it is not the same for me. It just isn't. And watching Fright Night gave me a reminder of why David Tennant is so good. Because he's playing a different character. He's playing a fantastically different character. I loved hearing him just be foul-mouthed and, this drunken perv, basically. I mean, he was, played the Peter Vincent, who's a washed-up magician in Las Vegas and knows everything about vampires for a secret reason I won't reveal. And he's the highlight of the movie. He really is. He comes in and he steals the show as Peter Vincent. I thought it was just a really, 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 really fun part. And it seems like that's all David Tennant. Even Hamlet, I thought he was really fun to watch as Hamlet. And Hamlet is not really a fun part, but I thought he was really fun. His Much Ado About Nothing was the first time a Shakespeare comedy made me laugh. Normally, Shakespearean actors, when they're playing the comedy, don't realize that they're playing comedy. They're so wrapped up in the fact that they're playing Shakespeare that they play everything like Macbeth. And you want to say to them, no, you're playing Midsummer's Night Dream, okay? Make me laugh. And David Tennant did that for me in Much Ado About Nothing. He does it for me here in Fright Night. He made me laugh. He was able to pull off the action. He was able to pull off the darker, dramatic parts. Stole the show. And when you get these 3 actors, this Anton kid, the Colin Farrell part, and David Tennant, you've got yourself a fun movie here. And fun is the word that describes Fright Night. Don't go there looking for scares. Because a lot of the complaints, it's not scary. It's not scary. No, it's not scary. Okay? It's a horror comedy. Horror comedies shouldn't be scary. At least not scary like Exorcist scary or something. I think that, a lot of people complain about jump scares. You know, where a cat jumps out of a cupboard or there's a loud noise or something, and everybody in the audience goes, "Ah," you know, and they say, "Well, that's a cheap way to do it. That's not really building tension and stuff or an atmosphere. That's just a cheap way to get a scare." And I agree with you. I agree with you when it's a movie that is going for a legitimate, frightening feel. The jump scares are cheap. They don't come off as cheap in Fright Night or movies like Fright Night, like Monster Squad, Evil Dead. Horror comedies need the jump cuts because you can't really build up tension the way that you do in, let's say, actually, great example, Nightmare on Elm Street. The first Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, built up a real sense of tension and fear and scariness. You're just terrified in that movie. The sequels wanted to do that, but they also wanted Freddy to be funny, and they don't work. And I'm not hating on those sequels. I actually like the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels for what they are, but you know, he, if you're laughing at Freddy, you're not scared of him. You're not. I mean, I was scared of him in the first one. Even the third one, I thought that they at least got the balance right to where, yeah, he tried to make you laugh, but it was really still very serious. By the fourth, fifth, sixth, well, not the seventh. The seventh is a different kind of movie, but by Freddy versus Jason, he's not scary anymore. It's just Freddy making a joke, and you don't really take him seriously as a threat. You don't take Jerry the Vampire seriously as a threat either, um, but for good reason. They don't want you to be terrified of this character. They don't want you soiling yourself over Jerry the Vampire. It's just they want you to just go to a movie and have fun. That's all they want. And in this day and age, there's just so many cynical people who can't accept that, who cannot accept that. Um, and I don't understand what the objection is to fun anymore, because there seems to be a real objection to it. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me have a good time. I want to come out traumatized from what I've seen. Um, I felt that way for the last decade in horror, actually. I never got into Saw or Hostel or the torture porn movies because they're not any fun. There's no fun to them. Um, Even people say, well, no, it's kind of fun to see how far they go and how many different directions they could rip a person apart. That's not fun, okay? That's not any fun. That's kind of sick. That's really kind of just it's I don't see the fun in it. Um, Fright Night is about blood squirting out at you and things that don't they you don't have to with Saw it's like they're studying anatomy class. Okay, make sure that the liver falls out when this happens because we really want it to look like we've just sliced somebody in half. With a movie like Fright Night, with a movie like Evil Dead, um, or the Romero zombie movies like Dawn of the Dead. It's not about making the internal organs look like internal organs. It's about how far can blood squirt. It's about how ridiculous and over the top and not at all biologically correct can we make the gore. And there's something fun about that. And it's all in good fun. It's not taken seriously. It's not in Saw, it's not fun when the girl is trapped or something and she's crying and she's begging for her life and she's just terrified. That's not fun. Okay? But when it's something like Fright Night and, it's some stupid teenage girl and, you know, gets her head cut off or and it goes spinning around or something. That's kind of fun. That's when you've got. I mean, there's a reason why people always say in the 80s, well, the characters weren't likable. They weren't likable. I didn't care about these kids. They were just all stock characters that were lined up to be killed. Yeah, because if you liked them and if you were emotionally invested in them, then their deaths you couldn't kill any of them. The audience would turn on you. They would make characters unlikable so that when they died, you didn't care. In Fright Night, actually, there's not that many deaths. I mean, a lot of people get turned into vampires, um, but it's not quite the same thing. This is just a good old fashioned. I mean, I could see showing this movie to my kids. I really could. I mean, this is a good old fashioned fun time at the movies. Jump scares and jumping in your seat and tossing your popcorn and then laughing the next second. And your heart's racing, you're laughing, you're having a good time. That's what Fright Night is. So ignore the haters, ignore the people who complain about it destroying the legacy of the original. This is a good movie unto itself. Go check it out.